Hi everyone. So let me ask you something. Have you ever just watched your dog sniff? If not, you really should. It is really one of the coolest things to see. You know, when a dog really gets their nose going, it's a lot of fun to watch. It's no secret. Dogs love to sniff. For starters, it is how they take in a ton of information. Humans, we take in information a lot through our eyes and through our hands, and then our sense of smell and our sense of hearing are not quite as powerful as like our sense of sight and our sense of touch. The same way we take information in through our eyes and our hands, that's how dogs take in information through their noses. Obviously, their noses are thousands of times more powerful than ours. If you've ever watched a dog greet a person, which I'm sure you all have, you know that a dog will try and sniff that person all over. They want to know kind of what's this person all about? Where have they been? What's the last thing they ate? You know, they're making a decision about whether a person is safe. Do they smell safe? Things like that. If a dog greets another dog, there's also a ton of sniffing there. Dogs can tell, you know, is the other dog male or female? Is the other dog intact, or are they spayed or neutered? They can find out if the dog is not spayed or neutered, is that dog in heat? Things like that. They can tell if the other dog is sick or healthy. They can just tell so much from the information they take in through their noses. And so it really is, you know, how they engage with the world. And in fact, it's not just information about other people or dogs that they take in through their noses. It's information about the world. That's why they love to sniff so much when they're outside. They're exploring. They're wondering kind of what's been going on in each of these spots. Are these spots safe? Have other dogs been there? Who have those other dogs been? Things like that. You know, we joke as humans about, like, you know, the idea of like dogs sniffing pee spots, and that's how, you know, they get their daily news. But it really is like that. They are finding out just so much information from sniffing those spots. So sniffing is this wonderful thing. Not only are they engaging with the world like through their noses, but also it is a safe way of engaging with the world. Dogs will periodically display behaviors called calming signals, and these are behaviors that dogs do to sort of dissipate the stress that the world can cause them. Some examples of calming signals are if a dog is licking their lips, or if a dog is yawning, or if they're doing the shake off thing like that. And another example of a calming signal is sniffing the ground. When a dog starts sniffing the ground as a calming signal, what they're doing is, one, they're trying to get as much information to judge the situation as possible, but also they are trying to tell the world and potentially, you know, other dogs around that, you know, I'm just going to be over here sniffing. I'm no harm. Don't worry about me. I'm just over here kind of doing my thing. So don't worry about me. Don't bother me. I'm fine. So it's a safe way for them to engage with the world. So, you know, sniffing is great for all these reasons. And that's why I talk a ton about giving dogs as many opportunities to sniff as possible. I talk about it a lot in the context of when I am teaching leash walking skills, honestly, because, you know, people want their dogs to walk nicely next to them on the leash, but ultimately that can be kind of boring for a dog. I mean, don't get me wrong, a dog, you know, should be able to walk nicely on the leash. It's a useful skill. But having to be on and just, you know, sort of walking nicely by their person's side for the entirety of a walk, it's boring for the dog, and it makes the walk less fun and less enriching. Whereas if you can let your dog, you know, have time during a walk when they can kind of go all over the place and just follow their nose, it makes the walk so much more enriching for them, which is awesome. You know, the reason I talk so much about enrichment is because sniffing is one of the easiest forms of enrichment you can give your dog, and the more enrichment you give them, the more mentally stimulated they're going to be, and kind of the happier they're going to be. They love mental stimulation, and sniffing is one of the best forms of mental stimulation that you can give your dog, and it's one of the easiest things you can do to help get your dog a little mental exercise. Is just letting them sniff around. But of course, you're not always going to be taking your dog on walks and all of that. So how else can we give our dogs some of that mental stimulation from sniffing? That is a really great question. Couple of ways you can do it. One, you can incorporate sniffing into just their day-to-day routines. One of my favorite enrichment toys for dogs is called a snuffle mat. And a snuffle mat it's this little mat that you can hide treats or hide food in. And you push it down, it looks like these little kind of fingers of carpet sticking up. And the idea is that a dog has to sniff and root around in there to get all of the food out of there. And you can incorporate a snuffle mat just into their meal times. Feed them their meals in a snuffle mat. If you don't want to buy an actual snuffle mat, all you need is a muffin tin and an old towel. Split their food between the cups in the muffin tin and put the towel over it. Let them root around in there and sniff up all the food. Or you can just take their food and wrap it up in an old towel that you don't need anymore, and let them dig and sniff around for it in there, and you have just given your dog sort of some fun sniffing to do, and you've done it. You've incorporated it into your day-to-day routine. Another great way of getting them to start sniffing is to just give them other sorts of puzzle toys. The other sorts of puzzle toys are just things that you put little food or treats into, and a dog's got to sniff around and get it out. Another way of incorporating sniffing into their daily lives is to play the game Find It. Find It is an easy nose work game designed to help sort of engage their noses. The way you start it is just by taking a little piece of treat in your hand and tossing it, a little bit away from your dog and saying Find It, and letting your dog go get it. When they're done, you do the same thing, and you can repeat that for a while. After a little bit, you can kind of make the game a little bit harder. And the way you would do it is just like before. You would toss a little treat, say Find It, and let your dog go get it. As they're going to get it, you drop another little piece of treat just sort of right by your foot. As soon as they got the first one, you say Find It again, and then you let them sniff out the treat that's by your foot. And from there, the world is kind of your oyster. You can hide treats under things and on top of things and in things and all of that. And it's a real easy way of getting your dog to just sort of use their nose to sniff around. And that little bit of mental stimulation is going to take so much mental energy out of them, because it's difficult for them, and it's problem solving for them. So sniffing is this great form of enrichment, and I want your dogs to have it as much as possible. And like I said, it's so easy to incorporate into your daily lives without sort of upending things. You don't have to have a formal time to dedicate to it. You can just sort of do it with your dog whenever, and it will pay off. Getting them to expend that mental energy is so good for them, and in fact, like, getting them to use mental energy actually helps dissipate some of their physical energy. Like, dogs still need physical exercise, of course, but if they are getting a good amount of mental stimulation, they will likely need less physical exercise, because the physical work takes up some of that physical energy from them. So definitely, like, the more of that you can give them, the happier they will be. All right, that is all I've got to say about sniffing. It's been fun. If you want me to help you teach your dog some fun sniffing games and how to engage with the world through their nose, I'm happy to do it. Shoot me an email, drop me a text, however you want to get in touch. And that's about it. So go forth and let your dogs sniff.